So we're here today because we're going to talk about island living. And most of you will know who I am. So I'm Tracey Lundell from SeaGlass Wealth, but I wanted to introduce you to Angie. And Angie Kirk is a realtor and she lives on Bowen Island. So we're going to talk about island life today. But Angie, do you want to give a little bit more background as to what you do and why you love to do it?
Yeah, so I am a realtor. Obviously, we've established that. And I've been in the industry now for about 25 years. And I've worked in a variety of different markets. So I've really kind of covered the gamut. I started in Williams Lake, then I lived in Kelowna, worked in sort of the winery high-end properties there. Then I moved to Kamloops. I sold property at Tobiano, sort of started that from inception, which was interesting. And then I moved into the Kamloops residential market. And then I followed my sense of adventure and I moved down to Vancouver. And then Vancouver led me to Bowen Island by way of a boy. And here I am.
Often do. Yes.
So now I work in the lower mainland market as well as Bowen Island. So I've done quite a few sales over here on Bowen already. And I also still love my city personality. So I need to get over there too. And I actually do quite a bit of work there as well. So it's a nice balance.
It's kind of the best of both worlds. And everyone needs to know that that's not an actual green screen. And birds are actually chirping behind you. It's actual nature, folks. So that's kind of exciting.
I'm hoping a whale will breach or something.
Oh yeah. That would be fantastic. If you see a sploosh over her shoulder, you'll know that it's the real deal. And we called it up just for this talk today. But there were just a couple things that we wanted to kind of chat about. And one of the things that Angie and I were chatting about, kind of not on a video, but just in life, was the fact that it's actually pretty achievable. If you're starting to think about island living and maybe need a transitional kind of move or a forever move, that Bowen Island is actually pretty accessible these days.
It is, yeah. I think probably the first thing is people hear the island and a lot of people think that Bowen is either on the Sunshine Coast or they think it's on Vancouver Island, but it's not. It's almost like a bedroom community of West Vancouver, but for a fraction of the price. So for a 22-minute ferry ride, you'll get from Horseshoe Bay into Snug Cove on Bowen Island, and you drive off the ferry and it's like every ounce of stress just goes away. You're in like a 3-minute traffic jam getting up the hill with the ferry traffic, and then that's it. It's just chill and easy. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think that's what more and more people are looking for, right? Is just that a different pace of life. And now so many people have jobs where they don't necessarily have to be in the office every single day, but if they do, like, it's not that much to get over the bridge and get downtown if that's where your work is. If you have to be in town. Yeah.
And full disclosure, if you have a daily commute, I don't recommend it. I mean, the ferry's there and it's a service, but it's also not always on time. So a lot of people work from home, and we noticed that Bowen Island blew up during COVID. So I think the market here escalated by 33% in 1 year, just because everybody was like, get me out of this condo, get me onto an island, get me away from my spouse. I need a house. So a lot of people moved over here, and still a lot of people work from home. So it's very achievable in that regard. And it's the best place to work from home. It's quiet. There's no interruptions. There's no garbage trucks backing up. There's no people wandering around yelling. It's just quiet.
Which is lovely. No, that's super good. And is there still a lot of movement on Bowen Island in terms of properties and that sort of thing right now?
I mean, the overall market right now is a little bit stagnant. I think part of it's due to interest rates and inflation. And also now it's summertime and people are just distracted. They're like, we don't want to look at real estate. And this is very normal. But on Bowen right now, I think we've got the most inventory that we've seen in many, many years. So there's such good selection. And it's across the board. Like, you can find a little cabin on a 1/4 acre for $800,000. You can buy a $5 million house with all the bells and whistles, triple garage, and everything in between. So there's a ton of selection.
That's cool. I actually didn't realize I knew there were cabins, but I didn't realize that there was such a diverse
Yeah, and by cabin, I mean like it's a panabode house. It's a 2-bedroom little house, but we would consider it like a cabin. But yeah, there's great selection over here. And when you look at it from a cost perspective, you know, what you would pay for, let's say, a 2-bedroom condo in downtown Vancouver, which is, you know, in and around $1 million too. You can find something with a water view and a full house on land for the same thing over here. So it's just, you know, you're exchanging lifestyles basically.
Well, and I think that that's what it's all about. I think people are thinking a lot more about lifestyle and what decisions can they make, maybe work differently, not necessarily less, but just work differently, and then have different, and then get a little taste of that kind of retirement, but not really. It's almost, I think retirement's a bit of an antiquated concept anyways. I think people just work differently now. And you want a little bit of that balance of lifestyle and still being able to make a living. And this is kind of a lovely in-between option. So I know a lot of people are starting to think about kind of island living.
It really is. And it's a really cool concept because you're right. Everybody's starting to shift in their way that they operate, right? Like before it was just go, 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 grind, 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 get her done. Now it's like, no, we need balance. We want to focus on our health and our well-being. And that's a huge part of life, obviously. And Bowen offers that. You know, you have this true sense of community, which is wonderful. Like, for example, last Sunday, we went to the building center, saw 4 people that I knew at the building center. And it's like these big, long, warm hugs, conversations. Like, how random is that? And then you go out to the pub for a drink later and you see 5 more different people. And it's just good quality, true blue people here. That's what I love. Yeah. So.
And real relationships too. Yeah. You can just fly under the radar and be anonymous in the big city. And I guess some people take comfort in that, but that whole sense of community is, I think, what people missed a lot in those years that we were trapped in our houses and condos. But this is what people are kind of really wanting again, right? To have that.
And the nice thing too is over here, because the island is big enough and your properties are big enough that if you want that sense of privacy and retreat, you just go home. You're not sharing your walls with anybody. And you know, your nearest neighbor is like trees and fences away and you can't see them anyway. So there's options for everybody, which is a beautiful thing. So
no, that is good. So you get privacy, but community, you get a little getaway, but you still have like all the creature comforts and Wi-Fi if you need to work at home. So it's kind of the perfect spot.
We do have Wi-Fi over here and we do have cable. There is running water.
Fantastic. These are all important things.
You know, all the essentials. No, it's good. And it's so easy to get to town. I sometimes forget that myself because I move over here. I mean, I get over here and I get into my zone and I feel like I'm on holidays, but I'm still working. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I want to go to town. I just got to jump on the ferry. And if you don't want to drive, you can take the 257, which is the Horseshoe Bay Express, straight to downtown. You can walk everywhere downtown. It's so easy.
Oh, that's kind of awesome. Well, that's good.
Get a boat.
Yeah, I was going to say, and a lot of people do have their own boats, and there's water taxis too, right? I think some folks are like, well, what do I do if there's an emergency, or what do I do? It's quick and there's lots of different kind of travel options to get to the mainland if you have to.
And on that note, actually, that's an important thing to mention is we do have a health center over here now, which is just recently expanded.
Okay.
So it's really designed for an aging demographic and just for anybody, you know, in general who needs that type of health care. Bringing over a dentist, we've got doctors. So there is a health center here that's available. So which is good.
Oh, that is handy to know. Yeah. So you don't have to always be commuting into town to get that kind of health support. Yeah. Okay. Well, those are all very important things. And I think that, well, people just don't know. So I think it's just kind of fun to be able to talk about some of these things so that there's lots of options out there and you can be as creative as you want to with how you want your lifestyle to look. Totally. And your dollar can go a little bit further than it might in the lower mainland, because it's even with weird property prices and interest rates being higher and all that kind of stuff right now, it'll still go a little bit further, which I think is kind of cool.
And Bowen is Yeah, and Bowen's still a little bit undiscovered, and it's still growing to the point where any property is going to appreciate. I don't know exactly what our appreciation rate is right now, but properties will over time appreciate a great deal because of the expansion of the island itself. So
yeah,
and
just its proximity too to the coast. Like there aren't a lot of places that are like that around here. So you kind of get the best of a West Coast lifestyle, but you're so close to town.
So connected to the city. You're close enough, yet far enough away.
Exactly. Well, that's probably a really good place to leave our little chat then today. Yeah. But thank you for taking the time to have this little talk about kind of island living. And if people are thinking about island life and want to learn more about, especially Bowen Island, they should reach out to Angie. So we'll put her contact information at the end of this as well. And if you want help on the other side of things, which is kind of the lifestyle planning, and as it relates to the whole financial world, we can help you with that piece as well. So anyway, so thank you for your time today, Angie.
Yes, my pleasure.
We will talk to you soon.
Yes, we will.